In the last week alone, our homicide unit has investigated 5 deaths, 2 of which involved brazen shootings in public spaces. At this point, none of the homicide investigations appear to be connected to one another. I know that's a question that many have had. What we do know is that all of the homicides are targeted, meaning that these are acts of violence that were committed by people known to those who were harmed. And that's in no way intended to diminish the tragedy of any of these deaths. But I think at this point, with what's been going on, it is important for me to reassure Calgarians that there is little or no chance that they will be targeted with the type of violence that we have seen recently if they are not connected to high-risk lifestyles or hang around those who do. Our greatest concern, however, is that an innocent bystander could be injured or killed, and in fact, we came very close to a situation like that on Boxing Day. An innocent, uninvolved person drove a vehicle past the area where a shooting had occurred, and the car was struck by stray bullets. Fortunately, nobody was injured in that attack or that incident. And last night, a home was the target of a shooting in Auburn Bay, as you know. The people who live in that home are not known to police. Our belief at this point is that this was a targeted incident that involved offenders who got the address wrong. Thankfully, no one was home at the time of the shooting and nobody was injured. In 2019, there have been more than 80 shootings in our city, a significant increase over the previous year, and although we were only 6 days into 2020, we've already had 2. This is unacceptable, and it has to stop. Unfortunately, there is no single or simple solution to address the complex issue of violence in urban settings. It's not a unique situation for our city. It's not a unique situation in our country. In our city, though, we presently have hundreds of people who are involved in high-risk lifestyle. These individuals are not aligned to traditional organized crime or gangs in the conventional sense. The groups themselves are fluid. They move between not only different groups, but they also move around geographically, between cities not only in the province, but also across the country. As a result, these investigations are extremely complex and they're resource intensive. The one common denominator in all of this is drugs. Drugs and the profit that comes from the distribution of them fuels this greed and violence. Conflicts between individuals over perceived slights, distribution territory, and other interpersonal grievances are all triggers for the types of gun violence that we've seen. But what ties them all together are criminal networks seeking to profit illegitimately through the drug trade. Let me assure you that this is the number one priority externally for our service. We have numerous resources dedicated to tackling this issue, not just from the investigative perspective, but also working tirelessly on suppression efforts. To enhance this work, we've developed both short and long-term strategies and have recently created an inspector position. It's a senior officer position, and that person's responsibility is to actually oversee the work of various different specialty units around the organization around this around this particular issue. Our strategy, I think I referred, in the latter part of 2019 to the fact that we would be re-upping our strategy around gun violence. That strategy, though not fully finalized just yet, will have 4 priority streams, I can tell you that. We will be predicting, preventing, protecting, and pursuing. The work is underway in each of those areas, and we'll have more for you on that in the coming weeks. But certainly as Chief, I'm committed to utilizing all of the resources at our disposal to do our very best to get ahead of this violence and hold the individual